first bill on our agenda, and it's PG 30323. And this is Prince George's County speed monitoring systems on Maryland Route 10, Indian Head Highway. And we can look for our consultant to give us a little overview on this bill.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to acknowledge the consultant, Ms. Rachel Clark here from Evans and Associates, who will be handling the overviews on the bills today. So, Ms. Clark, please.
Thank you, Mr. Battle. For the record, Rachel Clark from Evans and Associates. Good morning, Madam Chair and council members. Happy New Year. I think I could still say that. So the first bill we have today is PG 30323, Prince George's County speed monitoring systems on Maryland Route 210, Indian Head Highway penalties. The sponsor of this bill is Delegate Valderrama. And before I actually start on all the bills, I just want to give kind of an overview status. Every single bill has been introduced to by the Prince George's County House delegation. They had a public hearing last week on January 3rd, and that's where they all are at the moment because obviously the session hasn't started. Okay, so this bill establishes that penalties for speeding on Indian Head Highway via speed monitoring system will not be a flat 40 fee as they are right now, but instead based on a tiered system. The bill outlines the system. So from like 12 to 21 miles per hour, it'll be the 40, and then it increases 22 to 31 is 90, 32 to 41 is 160, and so forth. It also increases the penalties for multiple violations within a 2-year period. So for a second violation, it would increase by $50, a third violation by $150, and so forth. That concludes my report on this bill. Thank you.
Before we go, we do want to make sure, does any of the members of the committee have any questions or anything? Sure, Councilman Barrows.
Thank you so much. This bill greatly impacts District 8. 210 is a very, very dangerous highway, and members of Fort Washington particularly are looking for stiffer penalties in order to serve as a deterrent to the dangerous speed levels. I believe the goal of these bills are to save lives, essentially. I guess the question for the consultant, and I know the answer, but just as a matter of record for my colleagues, I'm sure you watched the public hearing as it relates to these bills. What was the community's response to these bills?
Sure. Thank you so much for the question. So the community's response was positive to this and the next bill that we'll go over. They obviously share your sentiment that this is a dangerous road and speeding has been a concern for many, many years, and hope that, increasing the penalties and then with the next bill increasing the number of cameras will hopefully incentivize people to slow down on Indian Head Highway.
Thank you. With that, Madam Vice Chair or Chair, I'd like to move favorable in support of PG 303-23.
Okay, do we have a second? All right, can we call for a vote? Discussion, okay, sorry, before that. Okay, Councilwoman Juanica Fisher.
I don't know, can we press the mics to it or no?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your work on this. I wanted to ask a question for the good of my colleagues, because I used to serve in the law enforcement subcommittee and delegation where these bills are going to go. So if you can just recall my memory, because it gets confusing. There was a sentiment from our delegation that speeding legislation was going to be sort of uniform for the county, and there weren't going to be individual speed camera bills for every street heading to the General Assembly to get authority. And I know the members of that committee, at least last time I served in that body, were pretty passionate about that. I definitely support the penalties and I support the bills. I do think there should be some discussion and follow-up about whether there was an omnibus bill, and I believe it was Delegate Harrison who carried it, that was going to basically it was going to stop us from doing every street needs to be a bill in Annapolis to get a speed camera to do the process. It was going to give the authority somewhere else. And so I just wanted to make sure it did that fully pass in the end. I don't know. And after it leaves the House, sometimes I just don't even know where it goes in the Senate. So one, did that new bill where it's supposed to be like all of the speeding issues goes through one entity that's no longer the delegation is there? And will this penalty framework, is it prudent that this penalty framework only enacts on this road or in general throughout the county? I know will be a question, because once you do it for one road, then it's going to come for all the others. And I think it bogs down the delegation's process and getting these bills out and then to the committee of jurisdiction and then over. So those are my questions. And if you don't have the answers now, that's fine. But I definitely think we should inquire to figure that out.
Thank you so much. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have the answer to the omnibus bill, but I'll look into it today and get back to you and to the whole council. And then this specific bill only impacts Indian Head Highway, but you're right, it obviously could, expand further. But I will certainly get back with you on those.
And Madam Chair, if I could just clarify that. So the program you're referring to, the residential photo enforcement program, in fact, that bill did pass, gave the council authority to set up a program. We're actually have completed phase 1 of that. So that program is specifically for local neighborhood roads with a speed limit of, lower. Now, the difference, of course, is that this is a state road and there has been legislation dealing specifically with 210 for a minute. So this bill actually amends that specific reference. And in fact, it does only refer to 210. So, all right. So this was a special case. All right. Thank you.
Before we continue, does the county executive have a position on this bill?
And thank you, Madam Chair. And for the record, Ron Young with the County Executive's Office. This one and the bill following, we are generally supportive of these to the points that have been brought up by both the council member and also the consultant. This fits into our larger, Vision Zero to reduce, traffic fatalities. Unfortunately, to the point that Mr. Battle just made, we do have a lot of state roads that run through our community that we don't have direct jurisdiction to monitor. And we do like this legislation. This tiered system is something that we generally are supportive of, to increase the fines over time, but not, have it overly, penalized. That way someone loses their license and, the kind of fallout from some of those heavy one-time penalties. So we are generally supportive of this one and the next bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, so there's been a motion and a second. So can we call or vote?
Chair Brigade,
Aye.
Vice Chair Barrows,
Aye.
Councilmember Franklin,
How about I?
Councilmember Watson. Oh yeah,
She's not on the committee.
I'm sorry. Councilmember Hawkins,
I vote aye.
Councilmember Franklin.
He already voted.
Okay,
That's Councilmember Harrison.
and Councilmember Harrison.
I vote aye.
Okay, vote carries 5-0.
Okay, thank you. We can move to the next bill on the agenda. PG 30423, Prince George's County Speed Monitoring Systems, Maryland Route 210. Similar. Do we have our consultant to give us an overview of this bill?
Yes, thank you. So yes, PG 304, this is also sponsored by Delegate Valderrama. And so what this bill does is it increases the maximum number of speed monitoring cameras on Indian Head Highway from 3 to 10. So there could be a maximum of 10 on that road. It also repeals the requirement that the State Highway Administration conduct a traffic study, and it removes the expiration date from the bill. That completes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. And I would note that the county executive's office has expressed support for this bill.
Yes, we're generally supportive.
Okay, all right. Do we have a motion on the floor?
Move to support.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, we can go. Call the roll.
Chair Brigade,
Aye.
Vice Chair Barrows,
Aye.
Councilmember Franklin,
I vote aye.
Councilmember Harrison,
I vote aye.
Councilmember Hawkins.
I vote aye.
Vote carries 5-0.
All right, thank you.